This is the 365 Days of Multi-Level Marketing Journey to Freedom podcast with Rome Bachelor, where Rome shares his daily journey from down and out to total financial freedom in 1 year, along with pro tips, tricks, strategies, and tools to help you join in on the journey. Now, here's Rome with today's Journey to Financial Freedom podcast.
365 Days of MLM to Freedom Nation. This is Rome Bachelor. Today I promise to go fast because I have some other obligations, but we're going to nail this in. This is day 6 of our podcast journey of 365 days to freedom. I invite you to join in the journey. So today we had a question come in from a Larry Sutton. Thanks, Larry, for your question. He wanted me to elaborate on something that was said on yesterday's podcast where we were talking about an affirmative no versus an affirmative yes in your marketing messages, your approaches, your prospecting, your ads, whatever it is you're doing, the power of an affirmative no. So I want to talk about something that's commonly used in some of the advanced marketing out there. It's a technique called getting 3 yeses. You can learn about it, and it's a very, very powerful book called Magic Words by Tim David. Magic Words by Tim David. It talks about the power of the word because, the 3 yeses. It's powerful. And in there he talks about that you can get about an 18% increase in your response over a normal good ad copy or a normal good marketing presentation or approach by getting 3 yeses. And not all marketing uses that technique, but when you do, it's been shown to increase your results by about 18%. So in a book by Chris Voss, his name's Chris Voss, who is the head FBI hostage negotiator for many years. He wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. Never Split the Difference. Highly recommend both of these books. Well, Chris Voss in his book says that one of his students, and he learned in his FBI negotiating, that when you go for an affirmative no, resistance drops. People are more receptive, and you have a much more productive dialogue. He's also found that this applies not only to hostage negotiation and intense conversation, but it also applies to marketing and business and presentation of all types. So Chris talks about one of his students used this in a split test where they were raising money for the Republican Party, and they did the typical 3 yeses. And of course, that's proven to be more effective than just a positive message alone. It increases your chances of a positive result. But what they did is he did a split test. And he went for, instead of 3 yeses, which tend to raise resistance, even though it's more effective than not, and they went for 3 affirmative no's. And they found out that by the end of the split test, they had something like a 23% increase of result over the 3 affirmative yeses by going for 3 affirmative no's. So you have an 18% increase by getting 3 affirmative yeses, and on top of that, you had another 23% increase by going for affirmative no's. In this case, it was fundraising on the telephone. So therefore, the most powerful way to increase your effectiveness in your presentations, in your marketing, in your ads, and in your prospecting would be to add in some affirmative no's, because it increases response rate and it lowers resistance and makes people feel relaxed, and you don't come off as salesy, pitchy, and you don't feel as salesy. You feel more human, which is something that I like to talk about and I like to do, because therefore you can keep your dignity and you don't have to lose any friends. So it's very powerful technique to use just to be human. So going for no not only is a mental shift in your prospecting, but also as a technique to lower resistance, and not only your prospect be more relaxed, but yourself be more relaxed, and at the same time increase your results. Is highly recommended. So the book Magic Words by Tim Wood talks about the yeses and some other things, and then the book Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. 2 books I highly recommend. And then on top of that, we would add the book Triggers by Joe Sugarman, he's a marketing guru, master, one of the all-time great copywriters and marketing experts. And he talks about the power of the law of consistency. If you can get a small affirmation, people will tend to be more willing to take a bigger one. You don't ask somebody to marry you the moment you meet them. You kind of say hello first and get a little rapport, right? Hi, and see if they say hi back. That's a very small affirmation. And then you can go for, another connection and another connection, and the connections can build to larger things to see if this is going to end up with the big commitment later. So you start like a little ladder and you build up to bigger affirming agreements, right? And commitments. So start small. So you would start with, for example, instead of saying, "Are you interested in joining my business?" you could start much smaller and say, "Would you be opposed to getting some information about something that may or may not be a fit for you, but has been very powerful in my life and some of my friends? It's really made a difference. Put some money in our pocket and love the product." Or something. That's not the best pitch, but it gives you an idea. So would you be opposed to getting some information about a product that's really helping some people? That's better. So opposed versus are you interested? Or are you open would be better than interest in many cases, but would you be opposed or against the idea of getting some information? And you'll get a lot more positive, affirming yes direction by getting an affirmative no than an affirmative yes. So I hope that answers your question, Larry. And with that, today's results in the midst of unplanned chaos, because this is a candid podcast with real life, and we're going to do this over a 1-year period of time. And we're going for consistency over massive action. Massive action is goal number 2. Consistency is the most important goal number 1. Today, doing some follow-up, we registered in our business a new representative. This is day 6, first sign-up since we started the podcast. And the gentleman is very excited, committed. And not only did he get in on our product and registered his back office and has some definite goals set up, but we also strategized about him joining the system that I'm using for unlimited leads for life and to be able to approach the ideal target market without cold calling. So I have high hopes for the gentleman that just joined my team today. And this is just the beginning. We've got a whole 360-ish days left to go. And we're just getting started and haven't even gone to full speed. So that's the end of today's podcast, and I encourage you to join in our journey and find your own freedom. This is Rome Bachelor. Until tomorrow.
Thank you for sharing today's 365 Days of MLM to Freedom podcast. And remember to email your questions and comments directly to Rome at 365daysofmlm@gmail.com. And until next time, we want to encourage you to join in on the journey.